47,000 odd mark. So let's get in Jai Bala from cashthechaos.com who joins in on this show. Well, Jay, I wanted to view first up on the Nifty bag. Let's keep the Nifty at the side because that's the one that's looking a little bit jittery. Just a few sessions ago, we were headed to around 49,000. We're back down to around close to around 47,000. How would you trade this index? Where does support lie and what are the levels you're looking at?
Yeah, thanks, Nigel. Thanks for having me on the show. See, you've rightly taken the correct index over there, and it's probably registered a small head and shoulders top, and it's coming off from there. If the index were to drop below 46,920 and 46,888, I think the probability that Nifty Bank registered a major top would increase exponentially. So watch out for this. So there's a short play going on the index. The nearest supports I've mentioned, and below 46,888, it's about 46,500. So there is a short play going on in the Nifty Bank index, and I've been pointing out for several months now that Nifty Bank is going to be the problem pocket, and it's behaved quite expectedly, and Nifty is still positive even now, but the banking index from plus 3/4% has come down to negative 0.5%.
Okay, Jay, hi, good afternoon. So it's been really one step forward, one back for the market. No sense of, directional clarity in the last couple of days at least. Let's talk about sort of, what you're seeing ahead for some of these IT names, on the charts, because that's the next event. TCS, Infosys, I mean, do you see any trades on these stocks at all? Or would you completely avoid them till the event is over, the fundamental earnings event?
No, if you are a short-term traders, would be there is definitely a trade out there, but it's definitely only for the extreme short-term that lasts about say 3 to 4 sessions, and not beyond that. The 36,100 that the Nifty IT index registered, it doesn't look like a complete move. Probably one last higher high is due. Everything from Infosys, TCS, look like they are going to make one high past the December high it registered. So the best out of that is probably HCL Tech probably heading towards 1,600 and a stop at about 14.15 would make a lot of sense. But as I said, it's an extreme short-term trade. If you want to pick up other IT names too, something like a stop below the 4th of January, 3rd of January low that the market registered for each of these IT stocks, that will be the stop. And we are looking at a swing high past the December highs.
Okay, I got that. By the way, Jay, does your views kind of, are they in sync with what you're seeing out there in global indices, etc. as well? The 10-year back at about 4%, around 4 actually, as of yesterday's close. Or these are largely independent. I'm saying independent because, I mean, the Indian market has been in a different league in terms of outperformance. Really. So it's really been unaffected by everything which has been happening in the world. So just your thoughts there.
Yeah, it may not be reacting in a lockstep fashion, but definitely it's going to bear an impact. The US 10-year yields is extremely important, and my view that for the 24 months time frame or slightly over that, the US 10-year yields are heading for 800 bips. And as I've been saying since the last week of December, the next economic data is probably the last one that's going to be inflation friendly. In the sense, it's going to cooling. Like when I say inflation friendly, it means cooling of inflation. But beyond the next data, the CPI print is probably coming on the Thursday, and probably even that could be having an impact. And we're going to see hardening of the yields, and we're going to probably see about the 500 bips that we saw in 2023. We're going to see a cross of that in 2024, probably right in the middle of the year. And the dollar index is already showing signs it could have reversed. Watch the euro. If it were to print 1.103, 1.104, and then reverse from there, we're going to have a risk off event. So that's, combine that with the US 10-year yields. If the US 10-year yields were to cross 440 bips, we already have a bottom in place, and we're going to have a very sharp rise in the US 10-year yields.
So 8, you're still holding on to that? So we'll at some point we'll cross 5 and then go to 8, the US 10-year. That's your view.
Absolutely, there's it's very close to being cast in stone, but because nothing is sure in the market, everything is probabilistic. There is no change in my view that from by 2025-26, maybe even shorter. But I'm just being conservative. We're going to see very sharp rise in US 10-year yields, and concomitantly, we're going to see the rest of the world shadow the US 10-year yields, and they're also going to raise the rates. And inflation is probably, the message from the market is that inflation hasn't cooled off. It's probably going to come back with even more vigor, and probably Fed is going to pedal back when it comes to cutting rates.
Hey, well, Jay, that's not the base case narrative, even the worst case narrative that most market participants are working with. Everyone's, looking forward to this nice Goldilocks year with, rates moving down, etc. But anyway, you mentioned the 10-year yield on the equity side, or even any other asset classes. Is there anything else that's corroborating that view, where you're seeing the charts flash red? US 10-year yield is one. But on stocks, for instance, these magnificent 7 US tech stocks, again, they rallied last night. Are you seeing any other indicators on any of the equity names which kind of point to some danger as well?
Yeah, a good point there should be, we have divergent signals from there. The stocks and the US S&P, they are pointing that they might have already turned. But, we don't have that confirmation from the Dow Jones Industrial Index. So, we are still waiting for further confirmation. But, copper is looking slightly shaky. And if copper were to drop below 3.72, there is a 25% drop coming for copper. But my view is that, as I said last week or 2 weeks ago, one final high is probably due for copper, but that's a corrective rise. It's probably going to push past 4.02 and change. But, if that doesn't happen and copper breaks 3.72 straight away, I think the top is already in. So there is another signal coming from there. The Russell 2000, the broader market, once again, there is also pointing to a trend shift. But as I said earlier, the Dow Jones Blue Chip Index hasn't given the confirmation yet. It's still saying that it's probably got higher highs to come through.
Jay, any quick thoughts on these consumption, the FMCG names, which have been under pressure over the last 2 days? Fundamentally, the business updates have not been great, but technically, what are the charts telling you?
Yeah, I think FMCG names are going to be at least temporarily a strong pocket. My belief is that it's still got one more higher high to come through, probably closer to 60,000. And it may not be led by ITC. It could probably be led by Britannia and Nestle. They are the stronger ones at this point of time, but it still looks like an unfinished move for me. So probably expecting 60,000 to get registered, led by Britannia and Nestle. And I expect that to, be the probability of a top could be there, but we'll watch as the markets unravel. But right now, it looks like an unfinished move. So Nestle and Britannia with higher highs.
Okay, all right. Jay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on this edition of Closing Bell here on CNBC-TV18. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for your time. Well, the markets pulled back. The Nifty